iReader has had the best year of their entire career, releasing multiple devices across multiple screen sizes, all of them better than the last, and clearer than the last, being the only company to use Carta 1300. So we're not surprised that they're continuing to pump out units at a rapid pace, and here comes today's feature, the iReader Ocean 3 Turbo. This has a Carta 1200 panel with 300 ppi, 64 gigs onboard storage, 4 gigs of RAM, which is double the previous version. Although it only has an 1800 mAh battery, remember this is an ebook reader, not a tablet, so you get 72 hours of continuous reading on a single charge. But what exactly makes it turbo? Well, let's check out this review. Looking at the build of this, obviously it is the Oasis, because they took it. They took the helm from the Oasis. Oasis hasn't moved since 2017. This is a turbocharged version on the inside, but the outside looks exactly the same as the Ocean 3 and the Ocean 2. You have a USB up top with a power button, you have a speaker down below to give you access to a music player, and you have key mappable physical page turn buttons where you can do single press or long press with either one at the top or bottom. We alcohol our fingertips before each shot, and you can see there is some finger printing here, but it comes off pretty easily. The back texture is not all that textured, it's kind of flat, but with a few wipes it all goes away. And yes, it is that bulgy Kindle Oasis size unit where it has all the PCB and the battery in there, and it goes and becomes a thin layer here. No, it is not flexible, although the screen itself is flexible. The device body is not, like a Wexler, and we don't do stress tests here or bend tests or anything like that, so that is the unit in a nutshell. If you want to see the review of the Ocean 3, click the video card up above because it is really the same thing. What we want to check is the speed, and to see if those speed settings are buried in the dev options like the Color 7 was. So you click on system version a bunch of times, yes, you go there, and you click on this one, and it does not, no, it is not there. Okay, so the overall speed modes are not located here anymore. So that's interesting that they actually got rid of those, because they had speed modes buried in the back end of the developer options on the Color 7 and a couple other devices, because they don't actually allow you to change speed modes here. You have global, refresh, power saving, screenshot, dark mode, and that's it. There's no actual way to speed up the unit. In the settings you have display, dark mode, which is the entire unit. It does go through every single thing. It will turn its inversed color. You have general as well, that gives you smart assistant, language settings. Yes, it does come in English and a variety of other languages. And my personal favorite, intelligent button. What intelligent button does is allow you to key map the top and bottom buttons, and not only do the regular click single, but long click. So you can make the top one next page, or you can make it global refresh or light on, light off. And there's quite a bit of different settings here, so that's really nice that they have that. They also have USB book import, but you don't really need to use that because you just plug in your USB and it automatically shows up as device storage. You just sideload everything in there. So unfortunately, no, there's no actual speed modes on this unit, which is a little bit sad because we did see speed modes on the Color 7, which is kind of just because it is a color device and typically you want color to have a faster refresh, although they don't allow you to play videos or anything like that, so we're not even sure why they have it. We'll go over books really quick here. You know what I have noticed? This thing is really fast, but it's missing a lot of touches, which is very strange because this is the quickest, most upgraded possible version, but it's not quite recognizing all the touches instantly. But I will say, it looks so good. This looks so good. Look how white that background is. It's as near to this pure white background we use for white balancing and the backdrop of our top downs as we've seen e-paper. So that's they've done a well beyond anyone else has done. This is very crisp, very clear, and the page turns are very quick. I mean, there's no real problems with that whatsoever. You can hold it in one hand, and it has auto rotate, so any way you want to swing it, even like this, even landscape, it goes into landscape mode, in which case it does a 2-page spread, and the page forward now becomes page right. It's quite intuitive. I do like it quite a bit. Now, the refresh is something that you can change via refresh frequency in the settings, and the rotate is something you can also change as well, because once you cross axis, it is going to always change based on which access you change it, and it's device wide, so it's going to work in the settings menu, it's going to work anywhere, and it's not just 270, it is 360. It will go every which way, so you can turn that off if it gets too intrusive. Now, PDFs, you never want a 7 or 8 or 9 inch to read PDFs, but if you did, this is what it looks like. You do have the ability to turn pages, you can find things in book by long pressing, and you can do pinch and zooms, in which case it's very fast. Although it doesn't give you a mini map, it is quick. You have minimal options with PDFs. You can press the center and you can go to contents, notes, progress, or settings. Settings gives you the ability to change the white space, change the zoom ratio, auto crop, contrast, landscape, and more. More takes you to the back end of reading settings, in which case you choose your hand, left hand, right hand, reading, etc. So there's a decent amount of settings to craft your experience, but again, you're not running to this unit to do PDF reading. This is mostly earmarked for things like, well, manga and ebooks, because it's the perfect size for manga and it's a decent size for ebooks. So that's really what you will be using these. Even on PDF, manga, and graphic novels, you do get pinch and zoom as well. Because this is side-loaded content, you don't get anything like guided view, or you can't increase the size of the speech bubbles like you can on Google Books, but it is a good experience overall. There's not really any shortcomings with it. And you know, once you do get used to the hitboxes, it does function pretty fast, all things considered. The store we'll just touch on for a second. In terms of a store, it's good. It's objectively good. They have a ton of content from a ton of different authors and different mediums, so you can read editorials, you can read newspapers, you can read magazines, but from a subjective standpoint, it's awful because I can't read anything. It's all in Chinese, and all the purchase decisions are going to be Chinese, and you don't really know what's going on or anything, because other than store, the entire thing is not even skinned in conjunction with the device language. So although my language is in English, you can see bookshelf, store, and settings down below, the content isn't, and it just doesn't work for me. Yes, I can get free trials, but that doesn't do anything for me because I can't consume the content. So you will have to rely on the fact where you sideload everything in, which you can do. I mean, there's no problem whatsoever. You literally just sideload it in, and it automatically organizes itself and gives you the file format of each one and tells you the progress of each one as you access them. So in that regard, there's not really anything wrong with that. If you go over to File Manage, this is where you're going to have your apps. Basically, that's really it. You get Baidu NetDisk, file import, books, fonts, images, music, and dictionary. The last thing we need to check out is music, because that's the only thing this can do from a multimedia standpoint outside of consuming regular content. Because this is sharing this same body chassis and it is tooled the same way as the Color 7, it is no surprise to us that the audio is not that great. It's really loud, fills the room, but there's no bass to it. It sounds very tinny. It's peaking all over the place, which means it's going beyond the capacity of what it should display as and produce as an audio speaker. It's just not that good, although it is good for things like TTS if you can get over the robotic Chinese voice, and you do have a dedicated music player, which really is, again, the only thing you can take advantage of on this unit, because there's nothing else. Although it is Android, and when you plug this into your PC, you do get access to app and OBB. Unfortunately, it's not harnessable by the end consumer, and you don't get access to sideloading in your own APK files or utilizing them to any degree. Even if you were to sideload in your own APK files, somehow on this UI, there's nowhere for them to go because there's no app screen. There's bookshelf, store, and settings. There's no way that they would even fall in line. There's nowhere you can go. So unfortunately, this is, I should say, and fortunately, this is a bare bones ebook reader. Double the storage size, double the processing speed, and additional features like IMG 256 and global dark mode have also been added. But there's always two sides to any coin, and design-wise, it is exactly the same as the Ocean 3, has the exact same battery, and doesn't offer a whole lot of new features. Overall, the turbo suffix is indeed just, as it literally doubles several of the device's specifications from its previous unit. Overall, the turbo suffix is indeed just, as it literally doubles several of the device's specs from the 3. iReader definitely does appear to have the luxury of these set it and forget it type of devices, as it's been pumping out units of all screen sizes at one of the quickest paces in the industry. If you want to grab one of these, details are down below.